Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD podcast. Today, I'm going to be dropping a lot of secrets of things that I do, but really it's things that I do for big business growths. We have had a lot of quantum leaps, if you will, in our business periodically. And I have a number of different things that I do to trigger that. And I wanted to share some of those things on there. It's top of mind for me because it is, at the time of this recording, we are a few months away from the EntreMD Business School Vision Retreat. We have a Vision Retreat once a year in October. And it is in October because I start my new year in October. I'm not a January person. I'm an October person. And I do that because if I don't want to show up in the year and then plan the year, right? Like that doesn't make any sense to show up in January and then start planning. By then it's too late. The game has already started. And so I like to treat my Q4 like my Q1. So I get what the goal for the year is going to be, the plans to accomplish the goals, and I start executing on them in October. So it puts me in a position where I celebrate the holidays. I enjoy it, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of those things. But I celebrate the holiday, right? Not the holiday months. Right? That's what doing this in October gives me the benefit of. I still stay focused. I have a lot of fun, but I still stay focused. I still move my life forward and all of those kind of things. And so by the time we get to January, I'm like full speed ahead because I have a quarter under my belt, if you will. So that's a little thing I use to trick my mind. So because of that, we have the Vision Retreat in October because I help my clients do the same exact thing so that they can finish the year strong and then they can start the following year like with a bang. Okay. So as I'm curating the experience and working through the sessions and all of those kind of things, I figured I would come on here and share some of the things that I do. Because for me, when they come for the retreat, my goal is retreat to retreat. So October to October, they should feel like they're walking vision boards. Like, how did I become this person? How did I become this person? What is going on? And that's what's been happening. And it's just such a joy to watch, right? Because as humans, I mean, we just explore our potential till we leave. There's no cap. There's no limit. And I mean, when you bump into versions of yourself that you didn't even know were there, I mean, that's the life. But anyway, so I said, hey, let's come look at a few things here. Okay. So 3 things. Number one is I step away from the familiar. Okay. I step away from the familiar. And the reason why I do that is because when you're in your same environment, if you are a brick and mortar, like you run a private practice, the same practice, you're right there with the same people. You have the same routine. Like I go get coffee, then I go to work, and then I go to lunch, and I go back to work, then I come home. And you get into, I don't want to call it a rut, but it's a routine. And like big dreams and big visions and stuff like this don't come out from routines. You know what I mean? Like that's just not the way it works. And so for me personally, one of my all-time favorites is to just be in nature, usually beaches, oceans. I could do parks, but I really am a water person. So let's just say the beach. And it's in a different city, it's in a different place. So different parts of my brain are activated. I'm away long enough that I can shut down, right? Shut down the familiar, shut down the routine, and just explore and give myself white space and things like that. There are things that I would consider complex problems that just are no longer complex just because I did that. There are possibilities that I couldn't see before that become obvious. There are things in my businesses that are frameworks and all of these things that I see in a new light, not even by trying so hard, just from disconnecting and getting away from the familiar. And so for the most part, with our vision retreats, we would go somewhere, right? That's the whole idea, right? Where so sometimes people say, well, I'm busy working in my business, so I can't make it to the retreat. I'm like, yeah, if you're busy working in your business so much so that you can't come for the retreat, then you really need to be at the retreat. You know what I mean? Because this is where all that happens. So the first thing is I really step away. I step away from the familiar. Okay. So this year we are going to Fort Lauderdale and we're going to be at the beach. I always am like, guys, you have to give me enough ocean view rooms because I want my people to get those rooms. They're in there, they're overlooking the ocean, they're coming for the sessions, they're doing all of that, but they walk away changed. And the next 12 months are just a riot, like a good riot because of it. Okay. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I insert myself into rooms with big thinkers. Okay. I do that on purpose because you become like your environment. There may be things that have never crossed your mind as a possibility that a conversation over lunch, we're not even talking about sessions here. We're just talking about two people having a conversation. And you're like, whoa, mind blown. Like it's right there. I never saw it. You could go for a bathroom break and hey, hi, this, that. And one sentence, you're like, wait a minute. Yes. And people come and they're talking about their wins. And you're like, you did what? You know what I mean? And it makes you seem like, oh, and I'm here saying this itty bitty thing is not possible. Of course it's possible, right? So I insert myself where it's almost like the magic centers of my brain they're set on fire, right? And that's what happens when you're in those kind of rooms. So big thinkers, big dreamers, doers, people who are daring their fears, people who are being innovative in that space, people who do not embrace negativity, right? Like even in the midst of challenges, they're like, okay, this is a challenge. We're going to pivot or we're going to adapt this way as opposed to woe is me, right? So I put myself, because that's like an incubator. It is a place where visions and dreams and goals and businesses are born. And so I do that, and I do it intentionally. When I was younger, I let my relationships happen to me, like whatever opportunities bring and stuff like that. Now I happen to my relationships, right? Like I decide this is the kind of person I want to be. I find where those people are gathered and I insert myself in those rooms, right? Okay. So again, if we go back to the EBS Vision Retreat, that's the same thing that we're doing. So we're bringing all these people together who have been together. They understand the Entrepreneur Business School way. They understand building your dream business and your dream life concurrently. They understand 10X thinking. They're doing the things, right? You meet people who crossed 6-figure mark. You meet people who grew their businesses by 400%. You meet people who crossed their first million, multiple 7 figures. You meet people who they're like, yeah, we figured it out. Now we take a vacation once a quarter, all kinds of things, right? And And to be in that room and be there for 3 days, like it damages your limiting beliefs. Like your limiting beliefs are like, I want out. It's so fun. Okay. So that's the second thing that I do. So I step away from the familiar, I insert myself into rooms with big, big, big dreamers. Then the third thing is I take the time to practice visioneering and planning. Okay. So think of it this way. The vision is the free flow thinking. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to accomplish. Like it could be for the business. It could be for your entire life, but let's talk business since we're on this podcast. For your business, what could that look like? You allow yourself dream. You're like, what if I 10x that? You add a zero. You're like, whoa, what would that look like? And you're like, what kind of person do I have to become to pull that off? Whose help would I need? And I just allow myself dream, like cray dreaming, right? But every great thing looked crazy before it became normal, right? And so I give myself that freedom to dream, to visioneer, to do all of those things, right? And so when I'm done with that, I state what my goals are for the year, for the following year and all of those things. And then I plan, right? Because you don't want to have a vision or goal without a plan. So what are the actions that will take me there? Whose help do I need to get there? What mindset work do I need to do so I can be in the belief that that's something that I can pull off, right? What are the things that got in my way before? How do I stop them from getting in my way now? What are the things that are the most important things to do? The 20% activities that would give me 80% of the results. What are the distractions I need to get rid of? Like, so I can have this plan and it's mapped out on paper. So when I'm leaving, I'm kind of leaving with this yellow brick road, right? Like this is the roadmap to where I'm trying to go. And as a group, we do this in October, but this is something that I do periodically in my own life because I can have 1 year in a year, or I can have multiple years in a year. And I choose to have multiple years in a year. And the way I do that is I do this process multiple times a year, right? Okay. So I practice visioneering and planning. In the vision retreat, that's the same thing that's going to be happening there. The vision retreat, actually, one of the things I love about it is where I talk shop, right? We can do the business stuff, but we also do life stuff, right? So they're going to be planning their 2024 in all 9 areas of life. So not just business, all the other core areas. And they're going to leave with a plan. Right. So there's going to be the time for visioneering. There's going to be the time for planning. And man, it's going to be 2024 is going to be a wild, 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 wild year. Okay. So for you, the reason why I'm sharing this is because this is something that you can start applying right away to start creating big leaps in your business, right? Big leaps in your life, big leaps in the kind of team that you have. You can start doing that. Okay. If you're like, well, but I would love to do it in community, I would love to do it in the EntreMD Business School. Well, you can always schedule a call, entremd.com/call, and my team will kind of walk you through what that would look like. I personally believe that for you to be able to come into the business school, go to the vision retreat, I have maybe 9 months left on your enrollment for the year, for your first year, that would be, I can't imagine a better way to start in EBS than that. And so entremd.com/call, and the team will walk you through what that would look like for you. Okay. But you know that I am a lover of physicians, and I share this because I want you to be able to create big, big, big growth opportunities for yourself, big transitions, big transformations. I want you to be able to cross milestones, 6 figures, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures. I would love for you to build teams. You have teams of people who do the work, teams of managers, teams of leaders. I would love you to be able to build a company that is a well-oiled machine that can work without you. I have all these big dreams that we as physicians, we will be able to do this, and we'll be savvy entrepreneurs, and we will live life on our terms. And we started off because we wanted to change, like we wanted to help people and be able to do that on a really large scale. And we'll be able to compete on any stage with any kind of entrepreneur. And like, that's my dream. And if that's your dream too, I'm telling you that it's a reality. Right from where you are, if you'll start doing this process, you're putting yourself in a stage where it's going to be one to the other, to the other, to the other. And that, I mean, that'll be beyond fantastic. Beyond fantastic. I want to give a really big shout out to a doctor who's in the EntreMD Business School, just because this would, I mean, I just thought of it as I started telling you about the dream. Her name is Dr. Tolu. She's been on the podcast twice, and she just celebrated the second anniversary of her private practice. And it's just been so much fun to watch. She came on, I think, when she was 5 weeks in. She was fully booked at the time, came on again. She had grown her panel to 4,000 patients. And to think that in 2 years, you could get fully booked, you could bring on other clinicians to work with you, and they're fully booked as well. And you can figure out how to serve your community, create financial freedom for yourself, and you're living life on your terms, being there with your family, able to prioritize your family, and you're still in year 2 is just a perfect example of what I'm trying to describe here. These big growths. It's not out of reach. I mean, there's so many other doctors who are doing the same thing. I just bring up her story because the time of this recording, this is her practice birthday, if you will. So biggest shout out to you, Dr. Tolu. You're an inspiration to the physician community and to the EBS community as well. And we're rooting for you because many, 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 many more years to come. Okay. So you got this, guys. Take the action, and I can't wait to celebrate you, okay? If you choose to come join us in the EntreMD Business School and come to the Vision Retreat, I would love to give you all the hugs when I see you in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and to start celebrating these big cyclical quantum leaps that we're going to be creating, okay? All right, don't forget to share this episode with another doctor, and I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast. Hey, if you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to entremd.com/on demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.